Dealing with Manny Ramirez, for those who haven't already figured it out, is sort of like experiencing the 5 stages of grief. First, there's giddiness when he gets to town and charms everybody he sees and hits the ball all over the lot. Then there's expectation when you see all that and you figure you're going to get more. Then there's disappointment when you get less, like when he gets suspended for 50 games or when he gets hurt. Then there's boredom with all the drama. Is Manny going to come back? Is he going to be the same? Is Manny going to get put on waivers? And then acceptance that he's not going to be here next year anyway, so well, why care? But he hasn't shoved a traveling secretary yet, so the Dodgers at least have that going for them. Right behind me, home plate, is where the Angels' season essentially ended on May 30th. That was the afternoon that Kendry Morales hit a walk-off home run against Kansas City. When he jumped into the celebration dog pile at home plate, he broke a bone in his leg and was out for the season. And the Angels' offense hasn't been the same since. But aside from this team and this ballpark, the tradition of celebration dog piles continues in baseball. Students of Dodger history probably remember Tom Niedenfuer, a promising right-handed relief pitcher who gave up 2 walk-off home runs to the St. Louis Cardinals in the 1985 National League Championship Series. Less than a year and a half later, he was traded to Baltimore. People who have watched Jonathan Broxton's meltdowns this year may want to take note. Brian Fuentes saved 23 games and 27 opportunities for the Angels this year, although he made you nervous every time he came into the game. That was the good news for the Angels bullpen, and he just got traded to Minnesota. Otherwise, Fernando Rodney's been a disappointment, especially with a 2-year, $11 million contract. The middle guys have been inconsistent, and Scott Shields, the last on-field link to the magic of 2002, is pretty much done. When the Angels were winning, their bullpen was lights out. Now there's just no energy. This may put me on Dave Stewart's enemies list, but his client, Matt Kemp, needs to understand the difference between constructive criticism and being picked on. His 2010 season has been one of boundless potential leavened with maddening inconsistency. An example was the other night in Milwaukee when he hit a 400-foot home run his first time up, then tried to bunt the second time up and didn't get out of the batter's box. Stewart, of all people, should understand, having been a former Cy Young Award winner, that when you're in the major leagues, the expectations are great and the coaches are there to help you meet them. Can we finally come to the realization after so many tries that Brandon Wood just is not going to make it in Anaheim? Right now he's hitting 165 in 63 games. That should be convincing evidence that this experiment is not going to work. The Angels' track record with high-hype Fenhams isn't very good, so if I'm Mike Trout, who is currently at Rancho Cucamonga, I'd be concerned. The Dodgers' payroll in 2010 is $95 million, which places them 10th in baseball. The Padres' payroll is $38 million, which puts them 29th. Obviously, it's not what you spend, it's how you spend it. And the Padres spent their money developing young pitching. Maybe the Dodgers should take note. Joe Torre is a great guy, great with the media, and he's going to be a Hall of Fame manager. But there are times when I wonder if he's lost interest. Every time he's asked about his future and talks about how there are days that he'd rather go watch his daughter play softball than go to the ballpark, I have 2 thoughts. Number 1, it's time for him to go. And number 2, there's a lot of days Dodger fans would agree with him. Of all the players the Angels didn't re-sign in the offseason, one decision is the most second-guessable. They thought Vladimir Guerrero was done. Who's in line for another MVP award? And who's in first place in the Angels division? Oh, and here's another question. Who's going to replace Hideki Matsui in 2011? The big show begins this week in a Los Angeles courtroom with McCourt versus McCourt. Consider it a custody fight. Mom and Dad both want the team. In this case, neither has shown much aptitude for parenting, and the kids, in this case Dodger fans, are stuck in the middle.